Smash the like button. Also, nobody talks about the relationship between Drew McIntyre and Triple H. I don't think Paul is a huge fan of Drew like some people may think.
There's people that are not talking about this. Who's going to be John Cena's last opponent? My childhood hero, John Cena. People are saying it should be Brock Lesnar, but that makes no sense. Why would you bring back Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam to make this man wait months and months from now just to run that fade with John Cena? That makes no sense. Brock is not going to do that. Brock would not be his last opponent. Why would you have Brock attack John months out from their first match in 10 plus years? That makes no sense. So I think Brock will be on the road to John's last match, but I don't think Brock will be his last match. Also, from a public relations standpoint, no, bro, that makes no sense, because there's incels who still think Brock Lesnar is a bad man, just like Vince McMahon, which means you cannot give him that match, John's last match. You can't do that. Now, I like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, he did nothing wrong. Brock was just being a man. Brock was just being a grown-ass man with sexual needs, just like the average man. He did nothing wrong. We all have weird kinks. It's like, bruh, you ain't no real man. You ain't no real man if you don't have kinks. First of all, females, they got worser kinks than men, so fuck you. Brock did nothing wrong, bruh. But he will not be John Cena's last match. Who do I think will be John's last match? What about Braun Breaker? That's a huge option. What if John might go with Braun Breaker, right? That's a John Cena-light move to put over a young guy on his way out. That makes sense because they keep saying Braun Breaker is the next big thing. They keep saying that Braun Breaker is a WrestleMania main eventer. They keep saying this man is the future. Also, Braun Breaker, he keeps talking shit about older fake pro wrestlers like LA Cosplay, CM Junk. He keeps talking shit about older fake pro wrestlers. Well, what if John wants to put this young man in his place? That's a John Cena light move. Now, what about Seth Freaky Rollins? That's another viable option. But let's say they do run an angle between John and Seth. What if John might flip? What if John tells Seth, you know what? I don't want to fight you, Seth. I want to fight your protege, Braun Breaker. You see, that might cause a rift between Braun and Seth. If John chooses Braun Breaker over Seth to have his last match with, see, that's a great angle to set up Seth versus Braun Breaker down the line. Now, what about Drew Mac, the Mac Daddy? Yes, I am a fan of Drew Mac, the Mac Daddy. But let's be real. Let's be logical. I can't see Paul Levesque giving Drew Mac that kind of spotlight. No way. I can't see that happening. Because, to my knowledge, I don't think that Paul Levesque is a massive fan of Drew Mac based on his booking these past 2-3 years. Trust me, I don't think Paul Levesque is a huge fan of Drew Mac, the Mac Daddy. So why would Paul Levesque give Drew Mac John's last match? I can't see that happening. Let's be real. If you were to bet on that, you will lose tons of money. You will lose tons of young moolah, baby. I'm a huge fan of Drew Mac, but I'm not going to Las Vegas to bet on Drew Mac to run that fade with John Cena in his last match. No way. Drew Mac is a main event guy. I believe Drew Mac is a main event guy. But Paul Levesque, he sees him as an upper tier mid-card guy and not a main event guy. So I say cross him out. It's not going to be Drew Mac, the Mac Daddy. I wish it would. I wish it was Drew Mac, the Mac Daddy, but it's not. So let's move on to, I say, the biggest option, the most logical option, an option that might happen. Rocky Maivia? What if it's Rocky Maivia? Now, there's people that are saying, oh, Rocky Maivia, he's done with fake pro wrestling. Well, how? You thought Brock Lesnar was done with fake pro wrestling, bitch. And guess what? You look stupid. You look dumb, right? I look smart. I look very intelligent and smart, bitch. I was the only one that told you Brock was coming back, bitch. So don't rule out Rocky Maivia. Why did John Cena call out Rocky Maivia when he turned back into the Free Pebbles John Cena on SmackDown? Why? Why did John Cena denounce Rocky Maivia on SmackDown? Why? Also, I think Rocky Maivia owes it to John Cena to tie up loose ends. It's your fault, Rocky Maivia, for John's below average heel turn. It's your fault. You left John high and dry. I think that's a great angle. You can go off that. You can write that into a storyline. Why did Rocky Maivia leave John high and dry? Right there. That's your angle. I say, why not give Rocky Maivia John's last match? They have tons of history. And to my knowledge, I don't think John has ever beaten Rocky Maivia. So there's a great option. Don't rule out Rocky Maivia. You made that same mistake with Brock Lesnar. Who did you think would come back sooner? Rocky Maivia or Brock? You had Brock last, okay? You was not picking Brock. You chose Rocky Maivia most likely. If you had a bet, who did you bet would come back sooner? Brock or Rocky Maivia? Nobody would choose Brock. Hell no. Why? Based on that case with Janelle Grant, why would you think Brock would come back before Rocky Maivia? So yeah, bitch, don't rule out Rocky Maivia. You didn't see Brock coming. Also, if John has the power to request Brock Lesnar, what makes you think he can't request Rocky Maivia? Rocky Maivia has nothing to do right now. So I say, why not? One last match? That sounds right. That sounds logical. Now, let's move on to Roman Reigns. Why can it be Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns is also a viable, great option. John has never beaten Roman Reigns. That's a great option. Also, it will draw money. That will draw money if it's Roman Reigns versus John Cena in Boston. That makes sense. If you want to draw money, if you want to draw young moolah, you gotta book Roman Reigns versus John in his last match. That makes sense. Also, what if it's LA cosplay? Don't rule out LA cosplay because he's over. I'm sorry, but yeah, he's mega over. Even though I don't like LA cosplay, he is mega over. I can see John choosing LA cosplay based on the fact he's over. He's mega over, even though I don't like LA cosplay. Don't rule out that man. What about Dirty Ass Dom? Now, hear me out. Dirty Ass Dom, he's mega over, and he's young. That makes sense. Dirty Ass Dom, he is mega over. So I can see John choosing Dirty Ass Dominic based on the fact that the crowd loves Dirty Ass Dominic, and also he is the future. John wants to put over the future of this business, who is Dirty Ass Dom and Braun Breaker. Don't rule out Dirty Ass Dom Guerrero. Now, this next choice, my last choice, this is a wild card. Okay, this choice might not happen, but don't rule out this option. This option is a huge wild card. What about Joe Hendry? What about Joe fucking Hendry? Don't rule out Joe Hendry, bruh. The main roster, they are high on Joe Hendry. Paul Levesque, he loves Joe Hendry. Shawn Michaels loves Joe Hendry. I say, why not? It's going to happen. We will see Joe Hendry on the main roster very, very soon. I say, why not give him John Cena in his last match. Joe, he's mega over, man. That match will draw money. That match will draw young moolah. He's Joe Hendry. Everybody loves Joe Hendry. Hell, he fought Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which means this company, they are high on Joe Hendry. Why not give Joe Hendry John Cena? That's a great platform for Joe. That will put over Joe Hendry like crazy. And casuals, they do know Joe Hendry. I don't know why, but they do. They are familiar with Joe Hendry. Hell, you can make an argument that can be a passing of the torch match. I say Joe Hendry has a bright future on the main roster as a top guy. That guy, he is not a mid-card guy. Based on his fan support, hell no. That guy is not a mid-card guy. He needs to be a main event guy. And I think even Paul Levesque knows that. If Paul Levesque booked that man for WrestleMania, what does that tell you? That means he is a fan of Joe fucking Hendry. So that's my list of all the guys who might wrestle John Cena in Boston. And I'm done. Also, if you don't think that's a great list, all right, cool. Let's run that fade, dog.